going on, guys? Welcome back to SDG. I love a good finesse jig. Who doesn't? And I've got a couple molds that make them well. We've got the traditional Arky head 1/4 ounce that does a good job. Of course, the go-to is a round ball. So we've got the round head jig here. Goes up to 5/8, but it makes a nice 1/4 right there. Thing is, with both of those, the hook is more traditional, right? Long, straight, not as compact, maybe, as it could be. So I actually like using the Wacky hook, weighted Wacky hook mold to make finesse jigs, and that's what we're going to do today. So let's pour some lead. So here's that Wacky head jig mold I was talking about. It pours everything from about 1/16 ounce all the way up to the 1/4. We're going to use the 1/4 ounce today with a slightly larger hook. Calls for a size 1. We are actually going to use a 1/0 Mustad 91-768 wide gap. I think it just gives us a little bit more room to add some extra material. Takes a trailer really nice as well. So there it is in the 1/4 ounce. We'll close this up and stick it underneath of our lead pot and get this thing poured. Typically pours pretty easy. It's just a little round head, so it usually comes out nice. This one stuck to the other side, but you can see it filled out properly. We've got a sprue, obviously, we need to take care of, and you can see just a little bit of lead there from where we didn't add the weed guard, the wire weed guard that it calls for. It's a little too thin, so we're going to actually tie one in separately. That's why we didn't put it there, but no big deal. We'll just cut that off. You see here, cutting off the sprue, and we'll cut off that little piece and then take a file to it. Just a reminder, when you're cutting off the sprue, make sure you only go about halfway through and twist with the eye of the jig so you don't loosen it up. Here's that file work I was just talking about. I'm just going to smooth off the top, and we'll also get rid of that extra little piece right there in front. She is ready for paint. Speaking of paint, we're going to use a new paint today. It's one of the ProTech new paints that came out. It's called Go Time. It's really cool. It's got a nice green pumpkin with some green flake as well as some blue flake. So I'm digging it. The fluid bed is ready. We'll stick it in front of the heat here for a bit. It's only a 1/4 ounce, so make sure you only go 7-8 seconds or so you don't overheat the head. Of course, we're going to use the heat shrink tubing to keep the paint out of the eye. Makes a really nice finished product. Put that back on the heat for a second, dip it, and we are good to go. See, it turned out pretty nice. You can see the flake in there. And before the heat shrink totally cools, we want to get that off. So we did that, and there's our finished product before we go to the cure. So I need to get this guy in the jig rack so we can put it in the oven. Speaking of jig rack, here we are. If you haven't seen one, if you don't have one of these or seen the video, I did make a video on how to make these. Super cheap, super easy. It stands the jig up, obviously, so it keeps you from the danger of it cooling up on the head if you hang it upside down. Into the oven we go. For the final cure, my oven is set to 300, which is around 350, and since it's cold, I put it at 30 minutes. Should be ready to go. And here we find ourselves. The head is all cured up, paint is ready to go. Kind of digging this new ProTech color. We are going to tie on 2 different skirts today. I've got a full tab, this guy right here. Love this color. It is that striped section, green pumpkin watermelon pearl. It's number 246. So we're going to use a full tab of that, and I've got a half tab of this brown with green flake that's going to accent underneath. But first of all, we need to tie in a bait keeper. It's actually a full size. I don't even know if you guys can see this, but I cut it down. It's just a little wire keeper. So let's tie this one in first, and then we'll move on to the tabs. Using 210 denier, flat wax nylon as usual. We're actually going to start right in the middle because I want ample room for that soft plastic to be able to seat up on this hook. So Tie that guy in right there. Come in the back so it doesn't slip down the hook. It will have a sharp edge right here when you cut that, so just be careful, it'll cut your thread. And then I just put a couple of whip finishes right here to secure it down. And then we'll move up to the main collar area, being careful not to cut our thread. And before I move on, I'm actually going to take some Loon head cement here and put a little extra on there just to make sure that we don't lose our keeper. So we're going to finesse cut both of these skirt tabs. So what we put on first is going to be the bottom color, as opposed to what we usually do. Whatever you put on first, because the skirt folds over, is the top color. So first one is that accent, that brown with green flake. So we'll lay this guy on, extend it over just a bit, not too much. And a couple light wraps just to keep it in place, about halfway down the shank. And then we'll flip it over and bring it around. Same deal. Try to extend it about the same, just so that we have some symmetry. Make sure we have enough coming off the back, right? You go too far and you'll find yourself a little shortchanged. There we go. Now onto this nice striped silicone. Love this stuff. Make sure we got coverage all the way around. That looks good. So go to my clips here, little clip, and get that all pulled back. We want to create a bit of a collar here because obviously we don't have a weed guard on this one. So I've got a wire weed guard here that you would typically use in other applications, but I use it a lot just like this, kind of bend that end and then I can tie it in as I see fit. So gonna need a bit of a platform for that to sit. Try to widen this collar just a little bit without trapping much if any silicone. There we go. Just got to get a little bit of a platform there because I need space for that little notch to sit. So we're going to grab some super glue, just my normal Gorilla Glue here, gel, definitely helps. And I'm actually going to put it, you could put it right there on the threads if you want. I'm actually going to put it just a little dab on the wire itself. So my line tie is right here. I want to try to get it right in line with that line tie, which is going to be obviously in line with the hook. So I'm going to pull this thread up. I'm going to put my little bent piece of the wire right there and just use the thread to pull it down into its rightful place. Double check against the line tie, and then lock that one right in place. There. You have some time to work with it too if you need to. Line it up with the hook, line it up with the eye, make sure it looks good. And I try to cover it up pretty good so that glue doesn't make a mess on your silicone. There we go. Now I'm going to bend this back just momentarily so that I can better whip finish this guy. So I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4 should be plenty. shaky mess today. Now we need to lock those threads down. Same stuff, loon. Actually, the glue would probably, underneath of there, would probably do just as well. But I'm gonna go the extra mile, put a little bit of this loon right on the top threads so that they don't unravel. Yeah, the only thing left to do is cut the front or the top by the head and then cut this back section. So take our clip off, find the loops, one side of your scissors, stick it right in there, pull it out, and just give it a cut. And I cut as little as possible off of the head side, just so I can trim as I need to afterwards. So we'll go to each one of these and just cut them individually. And now I can trim that down as small and compact as I want it to be. Speaking of small and compact, we need a trailer for this guy, and I love the look of this 2.5 inch epic Ned Craw on this package. It is kind of a dead action, right? Doesn't have any flanges on the end or anything like that. But boy, this guy on this 1/0 Wacky hook, it looks dynamite. So I will have to trim some more of this skirt back because the full tab length is a little bit too much for this. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to bend this wire in. Matter of fact, I'll just do that now. Just bend this wire in. And I forgot to mention, it's going to be a little long. The wire is going to be a little long. So what I'll do is I'll bend it down, take it out of the vise, bend it down, and see where the wire meets the barb. I'm going to go just beyond that and clip it. It's only about 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 inch max, just so that the wire extends beyond the barb. So I'll do that. I'll trim up the head, and I'll definitely trim down the skirt on the back, put this trailer in, and then show you guys some close-up shots. We'll head over to the test tank so you can see it in the water as well.
It might not be no crossroad, but it's sure enough for far. Like left to LA, or right to New York. Like stepping on the gas, or taking it real slow. Feels like I'm spin down the middle. Don't know which way to go. Oh no. Feels like I'm spin down the middle. Don't know which way to go. A life on the road, all settling down. Reaping what I sow, always moving round. Forgive a rambling man, doing what he can to be yours. Oh, feels like I'm spin down the middle. Don't know which way to go.
Well, what'd you think? Will it get eaten? I'm pretty darn sure it's going to get eaten. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's build video. If you'd like to see some more lure building just like that one, click on this video right here. If you're curious about the name SDG, then click on this video right here. Otherwise, until the next time, see you guys at the vise.